Session is about D365 Commerce meets customer insight. As I said, Elena is a technical specialist D365 Microsoft. In this session, she will show us how we can use D365 Commerce and get the benefit of D365 customer insight to better understand our customers and further enhance their experience. So without further ado, over to you, Elena. Thank you.
Thank you, Narayanan. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon or evening, depending on wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm really happy to start off today's Commerce Day, and I hope you'll find the content valuable and hopefully stayed with us with the whole day because we have a pretty nice agenda coming up. So as mentioned, in the next hour or so, we're going to discuss D365 Commerce with D365 Customer Insights. I'll also walk you through a bit of an overview of Customer Insights because I know it's more discussed in the context of customer engagement, but it's equally important for D365 Commerce as well. And yeah, we'll see how they work together and how we can use them to better help our customers serve their consumers. All right, so before we get into the details, it's always nice to start with some numbers that researchers and analysts have done. So what we can always what we are seeing recently, especially in the last couple of years, is how consumer behavior has been changing rapidly, and how expectations of customers are growing as well. I mean, if we start off with ourselves and as consumers first, we can all realize how often we're being contacted from retailers with offers that we most probably don't even care about, or with products that we don't even care about. So we're all expecting that when retailers are contacting us, they're contacting us with relevant information, and we'd like to think that the relationship with the brands and retailers we have are quite personalized and will benefit as such. Now, what we are seeing also is how retailers and brands are starting to look into this area quite often and realizing the value of investing into applications that can help them get better customer insights, or start investing into building their own customer data platforms as such as well. So with customers that already either done that by themselves or use some application, we can see that they have definitely noticed increase in revenue, around 5 to 10%, but they've also noticed decrease in cost because by having platforms like this, they're able to focus better on their consumers and target better consumers with personalized experiences as well, because they're getting data from all across the different touch points. And this data is not only transactional, but it's also behavioral and demographic as well, which ultimately helps build a real 360-degree view of a customer. Now, what Microsoft has been doing on that front is, as mentioned in the title as well, we're going to discuss about customer insights. So we have our own customer data platform with customer insights, and this is just a glimpse of how a customer profile looks in a customer insights application. And this is after all the data has been ingested from different data sources, and how segments and measures have been applied, as well as after some of the pre-packaged and configured dynamic AI models have been used and are serving business analysts to drive better insights as well. So how does it actually work? Now, customer insights, the approach to moving from the various touch points of customer data to an actual action goes into 4 different areas. Obviously, we need to start first with the data, and data can be data internal from the systems that we are using, but also externally from any kind of touch points that we might have from events, social media, etc. Then once we have the data, we need to move to a process of unifying that data and creating that golden customer record. So we go into a process where we ingest the data, then we do mapping and matching. After that, we do merging of all those data sources. And Enrich is a new functionality coming in preview where we can also utilize some intelligence from Microsoft Graph to further segment the customer records and give us better insights. Now, after the data part has been configured, we can apply the either the dynamic AI models already available in Customer Insights, or we can also give the capability to the business analysts to build themselves. And on top of that, we also have ready-made analytics, so they can easily see the data as fast as possible. Now, the most important part, I would say, is of having the customer data platform is how we can utilize that to actually action upon the insights that we have. And from the different action points, we can we're going to touch base on a couple of systems of engagements here. But obviously, we have the native connection with Dynamics 365 CE. Then we have connectors with Power Apps and Power Automate, as well as Power BI. And not so recently, we also introduced the connection to D365 Commerce, which we're going to see later on how it looks like. And not only Dynamics or Microsoft application, we can also easily take that data and move it into any third-party application or any other, let's say, customer engagement application that our customers might have. Now, if we see what are the or how does Dynamics 365 Customer Insights get the data, and what are the different options that we might have to actually get those insights? The first option is to just send the data to a Microsoft data lake by ingesting different data sources, the options of connecting to different data sources within the Customer Insights platform. So, for example, once we go into the application, you can see the different data sources that we can connect to. And from there, what we can do is either use the already pre-configured algorithms or models within Customer Insights, or if customers already have their machine learning models built on top of Azure, they can also bring them into Customer Insights and use them as such. Now, once we have the customer record, and the way we can translate that data into the POS is currently only through the measures. And hopefully we're looking later into providing that more on the rest of the activities and segments. But as of today, we're taking the customer the measures from the Customer Insights and providing them to the POS into D365 Commerce. Now, another option that we also see some of our customers use is if they actually have their own data lake that might have been using previously with before even getting Customer Insights, or they're using it with different kinds of applications, then we can directly connect to the customer data lake by already having native connections also from CE and also from D365 Commerce, and then have Customer Insights directly connect to that data lake instead of having been ingested with different data sources. And from here, again, they can also utilize both the models either from their own Azure subscription with the Azure Data Lake, or from the ones that are already built in Customer Insights. And from here, as I mentioned, it is the measures, again, from the Customer Insights app that are going to be translated and pulled back into the POS, so it can be available for the sales associates to better assist the customers. Now, let's take a bit more a step more into explaining what are the connectors available in case we would like to ingest data from different sources. So the first one would be in the screen here, you can see different types of categories for different types of data sources. But besides having, let's say, a traditional way of ingesting data by having a file being imported, such as Excel and CSV, you can also connect to business applications such as We have a native connector to Salesforce.com. There is a connector to SharePoint, connector to Oracle database, SQL Server database, Azure SQL database, etc. So there are a couple of, or I would say a lot of different connectors that you can use to ingest the data into customer insights. So that would be the first step on how you start building the customer data platform and putting all the data sources needed in order to create that customer profile. So the next step would be to approach the unifying step. So as we saw in the ingestion part, besides the fact that you can connect to a different data source within the moment you connect, you can also utilize the Power Query capabilities and transform that data directly on spot. So, for example, you will be able to add additional columns, transform some of the columns, add computed columns, or delete some information prior to it actually being ingested into customer insights. And once the ingestion is done, what we can also do is move into the mapping part and matching part, which is a really important step, because what we do here is we go through all the different data sources that we have ingested into customer insights and make sure that the different fields from those data sources are mapped correctly to the particular entities within customer insights. Now, once the mapping is done, then we move into the matching part. So the matching part is important because it will help identify the data that is needed and the data not being duplicated or having relevant data from one data source and from another being merged into one data source. And in all of these steps, actually what happens is there are also points where the system suggests what could be the possible mappings and what could be the possible the matching as well. And then yeah, as I mentioned, this is the merging part. We can have as many entities as possible, and we can easily identify which entity, what data from which entity we would like to put into the customer, the golden customer record, and have that used in the insights as well. And the last part is the enrichment part. This is a new feature currently in preview. What it does is connects with Microsoft Graphs, and it collects intelligence from Microsoft Graph and then uses that data to further enrich the customer profile. But at the moment is available only in US. Now, once we're done with the unifying process of the data, then we go into actually using the insights. So what does this mean? It means that we have a couple of areas that we can use that data to create either segments or to create different measures. Now, there are already some dynamic segments available. So, for example, segments like anniversaries or probability for customer churn, or no, those are measured. Sorry, but segmentation based on that has been predicted by the system, that based on the data that you have, that they might think you need to segment on. And then on the measure side, we can see information like churn, information like probability to credit to be increased, etc., based on the historical data. And all of these measures and segments can be pulled into different customer cards that we can see on the screen. And these customer cards can be used either in application as customer engagement, D365 customer engagement, or they can be pulled into, let's say, a Power App or a Power BI dashboard as such. Now, all of these, as seen, you can combine them in different visuals and in different views. And not only, even though within Dynamics 365 Commerce we can currently pull on only the measures, what we can do is, by having customer insights into Power BI, we can easily embed and retrieve Power BI dashboards within customer D365 Commerce as well, if that's another option. Then just another example of putting another customer card that actually unifies activities and timelines from various sources. This might be something coming from, let's say, the online stores, something coming from the call center, or something coming from the physical stores as well. And all of these, as you can see, are just merged into one timeline, and it gives a better view of how the customer has interacted with the retailer as such. And then just a bit more examples on some dashboards that have been built in Power BI as part of customer insights. As you can see, there are some cards already available and some cards that can just be easily pulled in because the connector already gives information or retrieves enough information to be pulled in any of the existing cards. All right, so once we move to the action, now the action part, if you remember under the 4 pillars, was the part where we want to see how we can use everything from the insights that we saw so far and use that either into the customer engagement apps or the commerce apps or even into any third-party apps. What we're going to cover today is just a glimpse. These are just examples on a customer engagement interaction or action point, where as you can see on the screen, there are a couple of customer cards suggesting what could be the next action or what could be a task that you might need to do in order to action on those insights. Then a next one would be an example of a Power App. So Power App is already has already a connector to customer insights. So you can use that connector to build your own Power App and distribute it across the sales associates, for example. And the last one, which is what we're going to discuss today more, is the connection of customer insights together with D365 Commerce. So what we see here on the screen is a screenshot from D365 Commerce point of sale. And recently there has been a new feature introduced called Clienteling. What Clienteling does is, so let me go on to that a bit and then I'll come back. So what clienteling is basically a technique that is used by retail sales associates to be able to establish better connection with their customers, but also give them better inputs based on what that data shows them from the system. Now, clienteling can be hard if you don't have the tools and you don't have the systems to actually give the sales reps that kind of information. So what retailers are looking for clienteling is actually looking into solutions that will eventually help build the brand loyalty and then increase and provide a very good customer experience and make a usage of all the customer touch points across the various channels and eventually of course increase their sales as well. So if we go back here, what we can see is, let me just use my pointer. So what we can see here is a customer card, if you will, on the point of sale, and there are attributes shown for care. So for example, there is a churn probability, next best action, and handbacks. But what is important to know is that this is a combination between the data from customer insights and the data from client book attributes. Now, recently, together with the clienteling, the feature within D365 Commerce included something called a client book, which most probably it will reflect a lot for high-end retailers, but for a particular store, you might have a set of customers that are visiting very often, or every sales rep might have a set of customers that they're interacting with frequently, and they would like to capture information that is relevant because they would like to be able to offer more personalized shopping experience. So what happens here is once we're building these customer cards in the client book, it's basically a combination between the client book attributes, which I will show you a bit later, but also the measures coming from Dynamics 365 Customer Insights. At this moment, we only have the capability to show 3. So 3 can be a combination either of 3 customer insights measures or 3 client book attributes. Of course, depending on what we select, the customer insights will show up first if there are any, the measures. And then if there are, let's say, 2 left, for example, the client book attributes will appear based on the display order that has been set up in the commerce headquarters. So yeah, this is a sample of some of the measures that are already being created in customer insights, and as I mentioned, we can select a couple of them and use them within the cart on the D365 Commerce Boss. So before we go into the system and see how that looks, I would like to highlight a couple of setups that we will need to do in order to make the clienteling working fine in the 365 Commerce. So the first thing is to enable the clienteling option into the feature management. So this has been available since version 10.0.7. And once we have that enabled, we'll need to go to the commerce parameters. We'll have a new tab lighting up there, and there will be a setup on the customer attributes and a setup on the customer insights connection. And after that, we just make sure we run the 4 distribution scheduler jobs just to make sure everything is sync. And as I mentioned before, once the customer insight is turned on, then you select more measures, it will be the customer insights measures that will show first, and next it will be the client book measures. All right, so let's see some of these in Dynamics. I need to refresh my environments. You can see my screen and Dynamics, right? Just to confirm.
That's correct. Yeah, we can see.
All right.
The screen.
Yeah. All right, so as I mentioned first, we need to go into the feature management part of Dynamics. So I'm currently on the feature management part, and make sure they're all, because it's enabled. Make sure that clienteling is enabled in your environment. And once clienteling is enabled, as I mentioned, we need to go into the commerce parameters. So under retail and commerce, we'll go into the commerce parameter setup. Then we can see a clienteling tab lighting up. And there are 2 components here. As I mentioned previously, the first one is a client book attribute group. So you need to have a client attribute group to be able to have those information shown on the POS. But also in the client book group, which is a set of attribute groups, actually, you can set up the display order of what you would like to show first on those client information. For every organization, this will be different, most probably, and but this is a way to control what is it important for you to see, for the sales rep to see first once they're viewing the customer information. So this is first that needs to be set up before you actually go into the POS. And the next one is the connection to customer insights. So there is a bit of a setup that you need to do, and I would recommend going over the, I think I have it open here. Yeah, going over the setups on making sure the connection is right. So there are a couple of areas that you need to make sure is correct. So you need to connect to create a key vault in Azure, and once that is being set up, then you will be able only to enable this connection. Just briefly, I will show you that part as well. So that falls under Key Vault. And as I mentioned, you need to make sure under your subscription you have a Key Vault set up. You have secrets being generated, and there are options around having these secrets manual or with a certification. Both of them are explained under the docs for Azure Key Vault. But in case you need any help with this, let me know. I've spent a bit of a time to actually set it up, but once you get the gist, it's actually pretty fast. But it is a requirement to actually be able to enable the integration with customer insights. Now, once that is set up here, we obviously have the information to go over the environment. So you can have within customer insights, you can have multiple instances of environments that you might select. And then what we can do is basically select any of the measures. Unfortunately, my customer insights environment, it's refreshing, so I don't have any attributes here. But as I mentioned, we have 3. If you select 3, all 3 will pop up first on the POS. If not, there will be a combination between the measures selected here and the attributes selected under the customer information. So once this is done, and you will finish the setup and then run the scheduler jobs as mentioned on the slides previously, and then you can actually go and see how that looks like into the POS. So I'm already logged into the POS, and as part of the clienteling feature under feature management, we have two new links that have popped up here. So something called My Clients and Store Clients. So Store Clients is obviously all of the clients available or that have been saved in the client book by different sales reps. And then what I'm going to look today is my particular client. And previously, we only had the information around just going through the customer profile and see their recent purchases, their wish list, or a recommendation of product as well. But together with the clienteling, besides seeing the customer record, we also have a new timeline that lights up. And a timeline consists of a couple of things we can capture here. Things like activity. And activities, these types of activities are also configurable in the commerce headquarters. But what this means is that we're providing the sales rep a tool to easily capture any kind of activity that they need to track with this particular customer, especially if it's a VIP customer. And also, besides this, we also can capture different notes. And these notes and activities can be viewed not only by the sales rep, but if you're going to use the call center of D365 Commerce, you can easily see that information as well. So we're making sure we're capturing consumer information, and then we are utilizing that information for all the channels available. So whenever the customer either walks into the store or calls the call center, we're making sure that we have every info possible captured for them. So if I go back, as I was showing previously on the client book, if I had the customer insights measured here, they will appear here. But what I have currently is the attributes coming from the client book. And information around preferred price point, category, and a marketing opt-in. And these are displayed because these were the ones that were set up into the display order that was set up in the D365 Commerce headquarters. Now, this comes out of the box. So what you can see is you don't need to do any development to be able to light up the attributes from customer insights. However, what we've seen is some customers would like to have those information popping up in the customer screen, and not only let's say the 3 measures available, but maybe they would like to to have some other measures coming up from customer insights. For that, you will need to use the retail SDK to basically develop something and put it on the customer profile here as well, but it is available as an option if that's something the customer needs. However, another option that I would like to show, besides looking at the POS information only, is, if you remember previously, I showed a Power App that is being created by utilizing the connector for customer insights. I'm going to walk you through that because sometimes that is a much better way to view the customer profile instead of going through the POS. But it also depends on what are the activities that the sales rep do and what is it that retail particularly needs in order to capture the customer experience. So let's move into one of my retail apps. Before that, let me give you a glimpse of customer insights because we didn't show that. So this is a homepage of customer insights, and as I mentioned previously, we can have the most relevant information appearing on the home screen based on some of the recent segments or recent measures, but for example, let's have a look of some of the data sources ingested here. So we have data coming from a retail system, survey system, and a ticketing system. And in cases where, let's say, the CE system is Dynamics 365 CE, then the data can come obviously from CDS. In case there is a separate POS system, that data can come either from a file or maybe from, let's say, an Oracle database or Azure database. And then going through the process of unifying, enrichment, etc., we derive into a customer profile. And let's have a look in one of the customer profiles created here. And I'm going to use that profile later on to show you how that would look like into an actual Power App as well. So let me look at. So let's have a look at this particular customer. Now, this is a view that is for the business analyst to look into everything that has happened on this particular customer, everything coming from the retail system, coming from the CE system, and from the ticketing system as well. What we can easily see here is, of course, the first part shows us the relevant customer information. And the beauty of customer insights is that this can actually come from different places, right? So for example, maybe the retail system not necessarily captures I don't know, a street or anything like that, but another system might capture the details around the address, especially if it's a physical store and they need to deliver from a physical store, even from the online channel. So the beauty is that we are combining all of these data sources and making a one customer card and a one customer unified profile. Then the other part is the timeline, and the timeline consists of, as mentioned, different sources, different activities, and different kind of transaction that the customer has made, and all presented nicely in a timeline. And on top of that, we have some insights and analytics on possible interest that this customer might have, but also information around average purchases and rewards points from a loyalty perspective as well. Now, all of these can be modified, and you can add much more if needed. But it's a nice way to show a customer profile or a customer profile page as such. Now, next, what I would like to show you is an example of how Power App would fit into this place. So, have an example of a Power App utilizing customer insights, and now even though we said that this is into the context for D365 Commerce, unfortunately, at the moment, the only way we can do from the connection is to get only the 3 possible customer measures. But by having Power Apps talking to customer insights, we can completely enhance this furthermore. And with the fact that we can embed Power Apps into D365 Commerce as well, we can literally put this, take this data and embed it there as well, and not only look at the out of the box 3 measures as such. So the capabilities are there, and there are many options to utilize this data in different ways. So what I will do, I will take again the same customer, but what you can see here, this particular app is actually much dynamic for the sales rep, because it gives, there's already segmentation that can help them filter better. And there's also other tabs included that will help you reach your information faster. So let me look at the top customer, and I'll look at the same customer that I had in the previous screen. All right, so this is Baxi. As we can see here, at a glimpse, you can easily see a summary of the customer profile, their reward points, the average time spent on a particular site, what was their spend, and the most recent information about the visit or sending emails as such. What I really like here is that we have Power Apps together with Power BI to be able to present a nice timeline around purchases, and we can easily see here that this particular customer most probably likes to shop online a lot, and in certain periods they have made large purchases as well. So this can be used by the business analyst to further segment or to draw promotions in particular periods. And what we also can see is where do they browsing or which channels are they actually using to interact with us. So from here, for example, we can see that he likes to interact with us from Facebook as much, but also capture information about the rest. So what this could mean is we would most probably like to send them promotions on Facebook, or target this customer only or more from that particular channel. Then what we can also see is if he has put any kind of reviews on any of our channels, we can also see a timeline on the reviews, but we can also see what was the score. So as you know, if we are going to use the sentiment provided as part of the sentiment models as part of Azure, we can easily detect what has been the sentiment on each feedback, and therefore determine the score for those feedbacks as well. Now, once I have all this information, I want to go and see what are the insights that that are coming for this particular customer. So this is an example of I believe this is a skincare retailer demo. So as an action, what we can see is that based on the purchasing history, the customer is more likely to be interested to receive regular updates about sales and offers on skincare products, and therefore we are suggesting a particular action that that could interest this customer. So as you can see, this is something that the sales associate can have on their app, on their phone, and this is something that they can easily see once the customer walks in and they identify the customer, especially if it's a customer that they're working with frequently, then they will be able to easily see and give them the right products. And not only that, by using the timeline and using the history of the purchases, you can also relate to and ask how did you like the other products that you bought, and even make that connection more personalized. Now, if you go back to the main screen, if we would like to just, as a business analyst, just to check what are the insights that the app is given to us, we can easily identify some customers with particular insights and actions. And this could be something that the analysts might do on a regular basis and send out promotions to some customers. And then additionally is we have a tab of resources where you can easily relate to some market research or some additional information to understand either the industry where that retailer is or some more information. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good app to be given to the sales reps and to just help them communicate with their customers better. Now I'll go back to my presentation. Yeah, so that was actually all. I have I've tried to have everything around 45 minutes and maybe leave some room for questions. And I have put in the link to the docs side for the clienteling overview where you can go through how to configure the setup into the D365 Commerce. And with that, I am done. I would like to thank you for listening to me, and I hope you found it valuable. And if anyone has any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Elena. That was really, really good demo, and the areas you touched in. I'm already blown away with that. How customer service can actually help retailer analyzing data. I'm just monitoring group, and I cannot see any questions. So I like to ask everyone that if you have any question, please feel free to post in chat window so we can get it addressed. While we're waiting for the question, actually, I got a question. So while utilizing customer insight and say, if I want to go a little bit deep dive and try and produce some of the reporting, say, which products is really doing good and based on the number of customers and region, how the product is performing, do you recommend customer insight can solve this problem, or do I need machine learning along with that?
It really depends on what is the data that you're going to ingest in customer insights. Now there are already dynamic models available. So, but they're more towards customers. I would say maybe not that towards products, but it can definitely give us some information around the products as well. But not only that, even though there are dynamic or available pre-packaged algorithms available, what we also provide is based on the data that you have ingested, we can recommend some types of measures or some types of segments that you might to look into. There is a wizard-like experience for the business analysts where they can see all the data that they're looking at. So for example, if products, regions, and customers also in those products are something that the analyst might choose, then you will be able to actually take that as a measure or as a segment and then further on as well. In your case, maybe a combination together with some more extensive Power BI would be the best approach.
Fantastic, that sounds good. So we got one question coming in, but before that, so in the customer insight, which is like, I can see that the actual engine is provided by Microsoft already, and it's doing the most of the painful task already. Are there any area where we can actually customize the AI engine, or do you recommend we should use cognitive services to do that?
So I need to double check on exactly how deep we can go in customizing. I believe we can only use the wizard to configure some of the things, but what we can also do is if the customer actually has been using Azure Machine Learning Studio and they have developed models there, then they will be able to pull those models and basically configure them in ML Studio and pull them back. But on how deep we can customize the existing ones, I'll have to come back to you on that.
Sure, definitely. I can definitely see that, like, you don't have to actually go outside of the Microsoft boundaries because you
Yeah.
got pretty much everything available. Either you touch base in Azure, or you got the out-of-the-box Dynamics functionality, or you have, like, some of the additional services like Customer Insight, which solves all your problem.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the good thing is that the most recent change is that there is now a native connection to the Azure Data Lake storage, and this is basically something that is very common for enterprise customers, especially, and customers who, especially retailers who are already in the game of consumer experience, they have most probably developed a lot of machine learning algorithms as such, and they are having their Azure Data Lake. So now we just plug in that and use the mapping functionality that Customer Insights has, and the unifying of the data, and then pull those models as well. I think what I wanted to do with this session is maybe pull away Customer Insights from customer engagement, as that has been the biggest area where people see it, but pull it more towards our Dynamics 365 commerce, because whenever I speak to customers that are in a need for, let's say, a POS system or an e-commerce, they're also needing a CDP platform to actually see how their customers are doing. So I think the merging of both of them is something that that is great.
Fantastic. So without taking too much of your time, let's go to the question. So we have a question from Kokulan. I'm not sure whether it's related to Customer Insight, but the question is, how does D365 Commerce compares to other e-commerce platforms like Shopify in terms of cost?
Okay, now that's a very large topic, but one of the things I can say that as a comparison is there are different e-commerce platforms, obviously. Are licensed differently. Some license based on the number of transactions, which is something that D365 Commerce does. So based on the volume of transactions that you might have in a month, you will fall into a particular tier, and that will come up at a particular cost. I believe platforms like Magento and Shopify license based on the profit or take up a margin from your profit monthly, and that's a big difference. Obviously, for some customers, that would be a better model. For some customers, it will be not. But for example, if it's a customer who sells high-end goods by a big high value items, then it's obviously better to go with a model where it's being licensed by or priced by transaction rather than being taking margins of their profit. So those are some of the differences, and then obviously there will be some differences around some capabilities as such. I hope that
Absolutely.
answers a bit.
I do agree with you, like, because before we come to the cost, first of all, whether what's the best fit for my business or my customer,
Yeah,
that we need to identify. Because if we go with the Dynamics 365, we can actually make use of all the F&O modules as well,
yeah,
which,
definitely. Yeah, that's one of the biggest, I would say one of the biggest differentiators, because we don't only come, for us, e-commerce, it's only one channel, right? And you can use the same headquarters to and the same set of configurations and products for your POS. And then once you decide to publish that online, it's as easy as just enabling a new channel and just working a little bit on the content on the website.
fantastic. So moving on to the next question. So next question is from Donna Taylor. Are there any plans to make the clienteling information available from the call center?
I believe currently I need to double check on the release, but I think on the call center we have the timeline available as such. I need to double check, but yeah, I don't have other details. I'll have to check so I don't give out wrong information. But I believe that's the it should be in the plan and roadmap. But I think now only the timeline is available.
Fantastic. We have 10 more minutes to go. So does anyone has any question? Please feel free to fire off in chat window. Or if you feel comfortable, you can unmute yourself to ask question and make sure you mute yourself back in.
I'll also be here in the next hour or so. So if anyone thinks of a question after that, I can answer it on the chat window as well.
Oh, that would be really helpful. Yeah, thanks, Elena. So I don't see any question coming in.
We can give everyone time to go and grab a cup of coffee.
Absolutely, yeah, we need one. Great, fantastic. So we're going to take like it's 9 minutes to go before our next session starts. So coming back to session.